I'd like to call to order the Westmont Village Board meeting of July 27th, 2023, to order at 6 o'clock p.m. and ask Clerk Simsky for a roll call, please.
Mayor Gunter?
Here.
The clerk's here. Trustee Barker?
Here.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Guzzo?
Here.
Trustee Little?
Here.
Trustee Nero?
Here.
Trustee Simonovich?
Here.
Attorney Anne Marie, can you give me your last name again?
Lamparello.
Okay, thank you. And we have Village Manager May.
Here.
And Assistant Village Manager Parker.
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone, and the first item, of course, is our open forum. It's an opportunity for anybody to voice any concerns to the board. If it's on the agenda, you'll have your opportunity at that point. So seeing nobody, I'll close open forum and I'll move on to reports. And I think my first report, and I think everybody else is going to agree, we wish Clerk Simsky a very happy birthday Saturday. And the flowers are an indication. So happy birthday.
Thank you very, very much.
The West Nile update, virus update. The Page County Health Department has confirmed the first mosquito batches to test positive for West Nile virus this year in DuPage County, and is reminding residents to protect themselves from mosquito bites and the risk of contacting West Nile virus. And I do have to say one other, if you're planning a block party, like we are, get a permit, and you need 75% of your neighbors to agree to it. So that's a little different. So that's all I have. Clerk Simsky.
I don't really have anything tonight.
Garage sale.
There are garage sales going on, thank you very much. Community garage sales, August 4th to the 6th. You can sign up now via the village website. And Labor Day village offices will be closed on Monday, September 4th. Thank you.
I'll turn to Trustee Simonovich, Police Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we held our Police and Public Safety Committee meeting. I want to start by thanking our Fire and Police Commission. They put in a lot of time to make sure that we get qualified applicants. They just held a test for the police department and have 38 on the list. So I just want to thank them for that vigorous process. I know they're working really hard on that, and we all appreciate the time and effort they put into that. The Citizens Police Academy still has openings. The adult version, 18 years and older, if you live or work in Westmont, is from September 27th to November 15th. And the junior for 12 to 15-year-olds is September 28th to November 2nd. You can sign up on the village website for that. We talked about our drones. Westmont has 5 drones of various sizes or capabilities, and learned a little bit more about the use of those. They went up at our recent events for 4th of July and Taste of Westmont. So we're getting those off the ground. And we talked about back to school safety for school starting next month, and the police presence every morning and making sure that our students are getting to school safely. We also discussed resolutions to some traffic backups that we've had with parent pickup at schools. The National Night Out is coming up. This year's event is going to be at Ty Warner Park. It's going to be in the West Pavilion area. There will be law enforcement vehicles, bounce house, pictures with McGruff, refreshments, and more. So we hope to see you all out for that. The police department is hosting a Special Olympics golf fundraiser. This is an inaugural event being held on September 15th. There are still openings for golfers, and you can contact Sergeant Mike Weibler at 630-981-6373 for details. The Westmont Police Department will also hold a shred event for Special Olympics on October 21st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Finally, the deputy chief wants to remind everyone about various services that the police department does provide, including a sharps box and a prescription collection box, car seat installation, vacation watches, fingerprints for employment, and a safe exchange zone. For more information, you can visit the village website on those programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Brady,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next community development meeting will be on it's changed from August 10th to August 24th. The staff is also reviewing the village tree preservation regulation and expects to have a report for the August 24th community development meeting. The next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is August 8th, correct? Thank you. We have a man from zoning here. Pets in a Park. The Westmont Chamber will host a Pets in a Park event scheduled for Sunday, September 17th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Ty Warner Park. Details can be found on the Chamber website. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you. Trustee Johanna Guzzo, Fire Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next Fire Public Safety Committee meeting will be 4:30 here, September 7th at the Village Hall here. Everyone is invited to attend. Our fire truck night at Cruisin' Nights is next Thursday, August 3rd. Come see all of our Westmont Fire Department vehicles as well as vehicles from other local fire departments. Come on out, let's get the whole community involved. The weather will hopefully be nice and cooperating. It is always a great event, as well as squad car night always is. Then, the big announcement, the fire department's turning 100. The 100th anniversary open house will be on Saturday, October 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Johannic Fire Station, which is 6015 South Cass Avenue. Everybody's invited to attend. I know it's going to be a great event, so I hope to see everybody out there. And happy birthday, Jenny. And that's all I have.
Thank you. We'll turn to Trustee Barker, Environmental Improvement Committee and Westmont First.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next Environmental Improvement Committee meeting will be August 7th at 5:30 here at Village Hall. And currently, there's a dark sky contest and grant program that's been published on the village website. The goal is to encourage residents and businesses to embrace dark sky strategies on their property to reduce and eliminate unnecessary light pollution. Then there is a upcoming event, Electronics and More special recycling event. That event will be held in the commuter parking lot out here in front of Village Hall at 31 West Quincy Street, and the event is scheduled for Saturday, September 23rd from 8 a.m. to noon, and visit the village website for details. And I also wanted to say that I felt that the Taste of Westmont was outstanding, and I have a good friend of mine that was a guest in our community for that event, and he was in a position to know, but he said that was the best organized and the best fest that he and his wife have ever attended. So I want to share that with everybody here and the special events and everybody involved. Great job. So, and then, of course, I was very proud to hear that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you. And I didn't even say anything about it because I wouldn't steal Trustee Little's thunder since she's on that board and worked every hour of the event. So Trustee Little, Administration and Finance Committee.
Thank you,
And the
Mayor.
Taste Committee, yeah.
Thank you. Our next meeting for the Administration Finance Committee will be August the 10th here at Village Hall at 4:30 in the afternoon. Please join us. It's been my pleasure and honor to be the chair for the Admin Finance Committee meeting, and the biggest reason is the Westmont Finance Department was recently awarded the Certificate of Achievement, Excellence in Financial Reporting by Government Finance Officers Association. This award represents the highest form of recognition to be earned in the area of government accounting and financial reporting. So that's a huge congratulations to the entire finance department. I want to thank them for all their effort and their hours and hours of hard work. So it paid off big time. So excellent. Thank you for that. The Taste of Westmont. We had a wonderful weekend. There was only a minor incident with having to close early because of the storm on Friday night, but we did well. We made money, and that's the obviously big part of it, so that we can keep the music rolling for next year. So thank you to absolutely everybody who participated and all of my wonderful volunteers that came out. I know a lot of the board members here were on the beer tent and the information tent and everywhere that they could be to help out, because we really needed it. And so a special thanks to everybody for that one. We'll be publishing and promoting a survey regarding events and to seek community feedback on that. Westmont Special Events Board will once again hold our endless summer car show this year. Due to the lack of resources, some of our paid summer help will be heading back to school. We don't have as many volunteers as last year, so we won't have as many endless summer car shows this year. We will have a total of 3 private car shows for ARIA senior facilities. So that's a good thing. It's going to continue into September. Last but not least, everybody's waiting for it. The Batmobile has arrived in downtown Westmont. It's parked right now at the corner of Cass and Norfolk. So when you finish watching this meeting, bring the kids downtown to see that and along with other special TV cars. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. And just to add to that, our police department and fire department were working that whole taste, and we didn't have any incidents. 1888 was there, Chief Riley. They worked extremely well with the Westmont Special Event Board. So,
And they had their drones up, so that was,
And who's the highest hour performing volunteer in WSCC in the room?
oh, Larry back there, he takes.
I found him out there at 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning, still working, so.
But again, he takes a week vacation, and that's all he does that week is, and it was a great event, Larry. Thank you. And the last, Trustee Nero, Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple items. We got a couple upcoming closures at the BNSF crossing at Cass, August 26th and September 16th. Just to mark the calendars, you're going to have some closures there on those 2 days. More info will be posted on the village website, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And then just a heads up, the pedestrian crosswalk at Lincoln is permanently closed. I know I saw some things online. I know folks are a little upset about that. But I do think it's worth noting that the mayor and manager have been pretty involved with the BNSF and working really, really hard with them to avoid that. Unfortunately, that happened for a lot of reasons, partially due to an upcoming station and platform improvements that are currently scheduled to take place next spring. So that's kind of nice. And additionally, newly installed tracks will all have varying heights, resulting in an inability to kind of create that ground level pedestrian crossing that meets ADA requirements. So because of those reasons, and I'm sure some others, it was decided to be closed by BNSF, not by the village, and it wasn't because of a lack of effort from our staff. I know they really wanted to avoid that. But it also is nice to know that the manager and staff are pretty involved in ongoing conversations with the possibility of a potential overpass or underpass for pedestrians. And I think that's pretty exciting. And I know it's just conversations, but it's great to hear that we're at least having that. So thanks for that update. And just again to reiterate, the taste was a blast. I know I was there on Friday mainly, and it was just great to see, although the weather wasn't our friend, how both the police and fire worked together and communicated with WSCC, got everybody out of there safely, proactively, made the right call, and, you know, it's safety first, and they did a great job. And I do see we have a certified beer tapping specialist in the audience. I just want to let everybody know our P&Z chairman is available for hire. He's been certified. He knows how to change kegs now, and it was a good training program, but we did a good job together. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And I ask Larry Forsberg, before we move on, to come up and talk about Quincy Street restaurants and what the chamber is going to do as far as supporting them during the construction.
Of course, the Chamber's working on a program where we've allocated $4,500 to do a voucher program for the restaurants on West Quincy Street. In addition to that, we have a time period where we'll do a raffle for a flat screen TV. We are hoping to launch this on August 1st, but we're working on some details with the restaurants in terms of when they will be open and when they will not be open. So as soon as those details are available, we'll be rolling it out via social media, press release, and asking everyone to help get the word around. The whole idea is to bring more footsteps to their doors during construction and help them do well. So that's what we're working on right now. More details to follow very shortly. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Mayor, can I just add one comment on the streetscape? I heard from our neighbors in Downers Grove that they're talking about doing it because of Westmont, and they're so pumped about the project, and, you know, it's kind of neat that the word is spreading, and I know there's a lot of negativity about it, but other communities understand that it's a huge investment, and it's.
And again, we've had, with the shareholders there, we had a meeting prior to construction, so they're very much aware of what was
Yeah, I mean,
until it
it's just as
happens.
hard, it's just as difficult to deal with, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's well informed.
Yes.
I wanted to acknowledge my niece who's sitting out there, Amanda, and I didn't, and her future husband. And of course, I always have to talk about the Carmichaels because we grew up in the same small town in Iowa. And it's just nice to see you here tonight, all of you.
All right. We'll move on to, does any board member have any items to remove from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd ask Manager May to please read.
First on the consent agenda, as always, are village board minutes. Board to consider approving the minutes of the village board meeting held July 13, 2023. Next is finance ordinance number 7 in the amount of $2,338,859.45. We have 3 purchase orders. First one, Westmont Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, $30,000, represents the annual contribution for the Westmont Auto Mile Group, effectively a dues. Next is Pizzo and Associates, $28,385.28. Has to do with the project's called the Jamestown East Basin Naturalization Project. And the next purchase order is actually a group of purchase orders, but they're all for Public Safety Direct, $109,830.83. This is labor and parts to outfit, it says upfit, but 6 new police squads that were already purchased. They is the equipment for units 28, 32, 33, 34, 40, and 47. And then it also includes what we call continued use, so putting some of the ones coming out of service into service in different departments, and that's vehicle unit 44. Those 3 purchase orders total $168,216.11, and together with purchase order number 7, the total amount is $2,507,075.56. That is the entire consent
Do I have
agenda.
a motion to approve as read?
Motion to approve is read. Little?
Second, Brady.
Motion made and second. Any comments? Trustee Brady? Well, he seconded. Any other comments? None? Roll call, please.
Trustee Little,
Yes.
Trustee Brady,
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich,
Yes.
Trustee Barker,
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo,
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business fence variance, 240 South Washington Street. Board to consider an ordinance approving a request from Amanda Simsky and Brandon Hull regarding the property at 240 South Washington Street for a zoning ordinance variance to allow a 6-foot solid fence in a required side yard adjoining a street setback. Deputy Director Hennerfein.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Board. So we had 2 items at the July 12th meeting of the Planning and Zoning. And the first thing I want to do is commend our PZC commissioners. I think we had 4 tornado sirens occurring that night, so there was a lot of dedication there. So I commend them for sticking it out so that we could have these public hearings.
Hold the meeting in the basement, or did you have to keep
Once,
recess?
once. So, yes, there was a lot of up and down the stairs that night, so. The first case before you tonight is 240 South Washington. So what 240 South Washington is, it's a fairly new build house. It was built in the last year or so. It is a corner lot, and corner lots have a much more restrictive fence requirements. Because corner lots, we try to maintain an openness on all streets. The code typically prefers fences along that side yard to be low and somewhat transparent. And I think it's evident because you can see lots of plantings that are around the property. So when the builder built the house, he knew that screening and privacy was going to be an issue, so he attempted to plant a lot of plantings. Well, the petitioner bought the house and found immediately that there's virtually no usable backyard on this property, the way the house was constructed, and that the vegetation dies off pretty quickly, and they would like a secure area to cordon off and have privacy in what is a backyard for themselves. So they proposed a 6-foot fence along the rear property line and along most of the side property line up to the front of their house. They did work with staff. Staff always wants to make sure visibility coming out of the alleys to the public street are not blocked. So they did chamfer off the corner, kind of create a little triangle to cut it back, so as someone's coming out of the alley, they can still see, especially pedestrians on the sidewalk. And then there is a special condition on this variance that if they plant anything in that little area, that it always be low, under 24 inches, so that it doesn't grow up. If we've ever seen an alley that has lots growing up where you need to come out the end, it's always a bit of an encroachment that we wanted to avoid. There were no members of the public to speak for or against it, and it was a unanimous vote yes. And the petitions are here if you have any questions.
I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Little?
Motion made, second. Any comments, questions? Again, thank P&Z for doing hard work on these two items. The next one is a little bit more complicated. I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich?
Yes?
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Motion passes. And Amanda Simsky, your dad used to sit here. She's, Greg was the mayor back in the early 80s, so welcome to Westmont. New business B, West Hills Community Church. It's a special use permit, 213 East 55th Street. Board to consider an ordinance approving a special use permit request by West Hills Community Church, 213 East 55th Street, for an existing religious institution with outdoor recreation fields in the R3 Single Family Detached Residence District. Deputy Director Henderfein.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first, I'm going to give a little explanation why an existing church is here before us. So this church is in a residential district, and you can have non-residential uses in residential districts, such as parks or religious institutions, but they're considered a special use. So typically, you see a special use request. So if you remember when Burness Park was created, Bob Fleck was in here creating, a special use for his park. But also, Bob Fleck's been in here with Veterans Park recently when they wanted approval to build their new little multi-purpose building. And we said, hey, wait a minute, Veterans Park predates our code and the requirement for special use. So why we have you here, we're going to secure that special use you never got. And so basically, we're trying to convert what is a legal non-conforming use to a legal conforming use. So in this case, we were approached by a third party that's working with the church, a soccer club, that wants to use the outdoor grassy space. Now, the church has utilized that outdoor grassy space with a third party for several years and didn't realize that that probably triggered the special use. So when your agenda says for an existing church, we basically said, well, one of the things we're securing tonight is that church special use that was never obtained because the church predates that. So let's first secure that. And so there is explanation in your staff report of the hours of operation and how the church works. But also, under that umbrella of the special use, permissions to use the outdoor space for a third party. And so I want to make a note that really what triggered this is they were doing the right thing. They wanted to talk about putting some lights out there. They did remove that request, so there's not a request for lights tonight. But that's what triggered this whole conversation and this whole bringing in the church and this third party here tonight. So they were doing the right thing. And we said, well, you know what? It would be one thing if church operations, if this was a church soccer club or a church rummage sale was using the space, we don't think it would trigger that. But because it's a third party, we felt it was best to bring them in. So the special use that the third party is making, and it's under the umbrella of the church, so if this user goes away, another user can come in, is use of the outdoor space for soccer fields. There are several conditions, because we did have several members of the public that showed up with concerns, all adjacent neighbors. And so the special conditions were created to try to mitigate those concerns, and I don't believe I see any of those neighbors here tonight. I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically they set parameters on when you can have practice and to what hours, and what days you can have games, which are basically weekends, not weekdays. And we worked with the petitioner after planning and zoning and before your board agendas came out to come up with those conditions. So when you first got your notifications of the ordinance, it said one thing. And then both the third-party soccer group and the church came and said, you know what? We have a couple other special requests. So the third party, Evolution Soccer, said, well, you know what? You limited our weekday practices to 5:30 in the fall. And we think that the last 2 weeks of August, we're still going to have enough light. So the last 2 weeks in August, we'd like to go till 7 with a cleanup by 7:30. So that's one of the amendments to the original documents you got. So basically, for a couple weeks out of the fall, last 2 weeks in August, can they go till 7? The other request we got from the church also lets a Downers Grove church organization use this for their own soccer events. And they had already scheduled 4 weekday games, I think actually maybe even 8. So if you read the ordinance, it says up to 8. And they said, well, if you limit our games to the weekends, then we can't let this other church utilize our space. So that's the other change to those special conditions that's requested. So those are the 2 requests before you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to go over them. And I do have both representatives from the church and from the soccer club if you have any questions for them.
I have to compliment the church for listening and putting in all these conditions. They worked with the neighbors, they want to be a good neighbor. But again, this only applies to third parties. So if they want to run their own soccer program, if they want to run volleyball, they can.
And I believe the ordinance, when you read the special conditions, the first thing it says is that the church is allowed to have church activities. And if it's run by the church, for the church, then I don't think we have a lot of discretion to say what a church activity is.
And none of these conditions would apply to the church activity?
Correct.
Okay, so this is just for third party, and it's going to stay with the church?
It would be no different if we had an office building that said, we've got this big grassy area and we'd like to lease it out to someone to use it. It becomes a second use on your property, and that's really what our issue, the special use trigger was.
Anybody want to comment, or you just, no? Enough's been said, huh?
Mayor?
Yes. Come on up to the podium. Yes. Yeah, oh, wait, Bruce, hi, Trustee Barker.
Thank you. So I'm just, my only concern is about, are we creating a parking issue in the neighborhood? And I know I'm familiar with your church and the lot there, and, the property's well maintained and all that. How many spots do you have in the parking lot, and do you anticipate putting cars and stuff out into the street? I'm assuming it's parking on one side of the street, and are we going to go down the street?
I would not foresee any need for on-street parking. I'm not sure the total volume of cars that are parking spots in that parking lot, but I know it's more than sufficient to handle church services north of 100 participants, and I can't foresee a soccer practice nor a soccer game on those fields that would generate that much attendance. I would say that the number of parking spots is in excess of 30. It's probably in excess of 40 on site.
Yeah.
And as far as need for on-street parking, I would not foresee that. And Dan, would you concur with that? Dan is from Evolution. And
Soccer going on now, right? So you haven't experienced an existing parking problem.
we've never experienced that in the past, where there's parking on, need for street parking with the prior club that was utilizing our space.
Well, you'd think the program will be successful. I'm assuming you're scheduling it where you're not overlapping with your church services or anything.
Exactly. There's conditions in place where soccer would never conflict with church services. The earliest game that would be on a Sunday would be, I believe it was 1 or 2 in the afternoon that would accommodate our services. And there's really no conflict during the week with church services with their practice or training schedules.
At 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Amy,
So my biggest concern, as I've driven past there before, I live near there, is the speed with which, these cars are traveling down 55th Street, and then there's no barricade kind of there in the event of some type of accident, right? There's some trees, but that barrier there kind of along 55th with the open lot, it gives me just some concern in terms of safety without there being any type of, guardrail or there. I mean, if this is gonna be a long-term thing that's going on, I think I would like to see you consider some additional safety.
I'll speak directly to that briefly, and then I'll ask Dan to speak to it as well for the plans that Evolution has. So soccer has been played on those fields probably for about the last 12 years, I believe. I was first introduced there when Hinsdale AYSO came to the church and asked for permission to utilize the fields because they were actually getting squeezed out of the local parks by other soccer clubs. And we agreed to that. And from AYSO, basically recreational leagues, they had an offshoot which became the Wizards Soccer Club. Wizards trained there for a number of years. Wizards moved on to the polo grounds and the facilities up in Oak Brook. And then recently we had a club by the name of Empire Soccer there for the last, I'm guessing it was 6 to 8 years. The last time they trained there would have been last spring. In all those times, the orientations of the field never really brought 55th Street into play because, the coaches and the people and the parents just wouldn't put their children in harm's way there. The orientation of the fields are typically in an east-west direction, which means the balls would be traveling into the church parking lot or potentially towards a house on the east side of the property. I believe that's what the intention of the Evolution is as well as to make sure those fields are not situated north on the property, but more midline on the property. But I'll let Dan talk directly to that because, quite frankly, he has the concept of how they would train and utilize that facility.
Yeah, so most of our kids who will be at this venue are 10 and below. So because they're on the younger side, they don't really have the physicality to strike the ball to go anywhere near 55th. It's something where I trained there 9-10 years ago, and it was never really a concern. We'll also have the coaches be positioned to any field in 55th. Bags and water bottles will be away from there. So there's really, in my mind, going to be no need for the kids to be anywhere near that. And this is something we're going to explain to parents, we're going to explain to kids as well. But we're also open, we've tried to be flexible in this process. If it needs some kind of barrier or some kind of fence, I'm sure that's something we can figure out.
Thank you.
Trustee Brady.
I have a question. What is the age group of the children playing?
So for our club Evolution, so they're originally from Naperville, and in Naperville they have 6 years old up until 18. For us, we're starting a new kind of region of the club. So for us, we have 6 to 11. So we're a smaller club, much younger right now. The plan for us is to have West Hills Church as our base for our younger teams, so kind of 6 to 10. And then we're looking to other fields, bigger fields for 11 and above, which hopefully as we grow, that will be the plan. I think that's what the previous club did. I think West Hills Church was their base for their younger teams, and then our older teams would play in different lighted fields.
What's the max number of children would show up for
So we have right now 124 players in our program. Obviously between the 5 days, they don't all practice on the same day. So if you imagine half practice on any day, that's around 62 kids. And then they're also at different times as well. So our younger ones, the most we'd have is maybe 3 teams, which is about 30 players.
Okay, so the field goes from east to west? Is that how you plead, the far south end?
I'm not sure which way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
is that right?
parallel to
Sorry.
50/50.
Geography's a bit off.
And I guess the only objection that the neighbors had was the putting in the generator for lights. I mean, I would hope, then they moved, when they bought their house, there's a park there. I mean, that's a park, it's usable for the public. So I said, as long as the neighbors are satisfied, I mean, I don't think, if, I understand they've been playing soccer for several years there in the past, I see no problem with that. The only thing what the lady was saying here, 50/50s, I went to the area the other day and I walked the course. The exiting onto 55th Street, going east is no problem, but trying to go west, man, that's a challenge. You're up on the hill, the elevation there. So I don't know, you think the church would put an arrow or something? I mean, it's not, I know it's inconvenient for someone who lives, west of there, but you gotta think of safety.
100%. I think most of our players, fortunately, especially the younger players, are Hinsdale, Clarendon Hills. So most of those people, as they come onto 55th, will be turning right, which is east.
Right, that makes sense. You gotta think,
So they'll
use
be
your
going
head,
Hinsdale,
right.
Clarendon Hills.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, thinking about young people. Young people need to get exercise, get that flab off, whatever. I played soccer, I lettered in soccer in school, so I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm looking for a motion to approve with the amendments.
Motion to approve with the amendments?
Both
Both
amendments.
amendments.
Both amendments that
Yes.
Second.
be directed.
Nero.
Second, motion been made in second. Again, compliment you listening to the residents. As someone who's been in Parks and Rec all the year, the only thing I questioned was a whistle in practice. I mean, everybody has to get the kids' attention, but you agreed to not blow that whistle on Monday through Thursday, so you gave in, not gave in, but you listened and listened to the neighbors, so.
The coaches just yell whistle now.
Whistle. You need a whistle all the time.
And an air.
Use a boat horn now.
Ted Lasso.
Oh, there's no bullhorn or megaphone either. Any other comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Little,
Yes.
trustee Brady,
Yes.
trustee Simonovich,
Yes.
trustee Barker,
Yes.
trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to new business C, award a bid proposal, residential alley 12 North reconstruction. Board to consider ordinance approving the bid and awarding the construction contract to Chicagoland Paving Contractors Incorporated for the residential alley 12 North reconstruction project. Public Works Director Reese.
Good evening. We received 3 bid proposals for this project, which is Residential Alley 12 North. This project is from Naperville Road to Burlington between Park and Williams and includes an area adjacent to Kiwanis Park with an interesting drainage problem that we hope will be resolved as a result of this project. So the low bid was $950,000 from Chicagoland Paving Contractors. It was 7.7% lower than the engineer's estimate. And the alley will be reconstructed with asphalt pavement, concrete edge restraint, storm sewer, and associated restoration. There's some NICOR relocation work that has to occur ahead of the storm sewer and alley paving. So there is an interim completion date of that first block where the drainage problem is, which will be this fall, and the remaining work done in the spring. Of course, if NICOR overperforms, we could have a possibility to accelerate that.
They've underperformed in the past.
Overperforming.
No,
We have a bat phone now for NICOR, so maybe we can encourage them along.
do I have a motion to approve the bid?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Little?
Motion made in second. Any comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Motion passes. Miscellaneous, does anybody have anything other than a Batmobile out there?
Yeah, get out there.
If nobody has anything, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Little?
Second, Barker.
Motion made in second to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
And I want to thank everyone, and this meeting is adjourned.